This is your Pastor of Prosperity, Colonel Tracy Roberts. I'm going to show you how I came to know Jesus the Christ by understanding Jesus the Jew. Do you remember the story where there was a lady with an issue of blood, and she came up, and the scripture says in the King James that she grabbed a hold of the hem of his garment. Now, what she grabbed a hold of was not only the hem, but this little tassel. This is called the Tzitzit, and the Tzitzit is a tassel on the four corners of a garment. It represents some things. It represents power and authority. And when she came, she was breaking the rules because she had an issue of blood, so she wasn't supposed to be in public with other people. But she wanted to be healed, and so she came, and when there were hundreds of people around, she grabbed a hold of the tassel. She grabbed a hold of the corner of his garment, this Tzitzit. And then Jesus said, "Who touched me?" And his disciples say, "Well, how do we know who touched you? There's 100 people around you. We don't even know why or how you got touched." But he said, "I felt something go out of me." And it says that the lady was immediately healed. And she came and she apologized. And Jesus said, "Your faith hath made thee whole." Just by touching this tassel, this thing that is a representation of Jesus' power and authority. Now, when you understand the Jewish customs, then you'll find out that a rabbi is not allowed to go among the dead. But he had already been defiled or made unclean. And the rest of the story is now he can go in to the little girl who had died because he's already made unclean until the end of the day. And he can go into her and he can raise this girl from the dead, which he would not have been able to do otherwise. One of the things when I'm studying and learning about these tassels on the corner is the story in the Old Testament of King David and King Saul. If you'll remember the story, King Saul was trying to kill King David and after him, and King David, who's not the king yet, well, he was an anointed king, but he has not become the king of Israel because you have Saul, who is the first king of Israel. And what he does is David sneaks into his camp at night, and as he's sneaking into his camp, then the scripture says in the King James that he cut the hem. He cut the hem of the garment, but what he really did is he cut this tassel off. So in the morning, what Saul would have seen across the valley was King David holding up a tassel and waving it and saying, "Saul, I was in your cave last night and I cut off a piece of your garment." And Saul looked at it and was like, "Oh my." Because what King David was showing was he was showing that he had gotten Saul's power and authority. And King Saul then tells us that he knew that David was going to be the king of Israel at some future time. Why? Because King David is holding the authority and saying, "I could have killed you, and yet I would not touch the anointed of God."